I asked AI to plant my garden for me. 1 second. Sometimes me at a keyboard is a dangerous thing. Like, I will dive headfirst, smile on my face into the deepest rabbit holes in YouTube especially. Like, I can just get lost in videos and spend the whole night just like fixated on a certain subject. Most likely it's gardening related or like news stories or documentaries that are on there. Honestly, there's just so many things on the internet and I just don't have enough time in my life to consume everything that I want to. Anyway, recently I decided to put my screen time to use in my own garden. I asked AI to plant my garden for me. Specifically, I asked ChatGPT what I should plant in one of my raised beds that was pretty much empty. Hello. Hi there, how can I assist you today? I live in Anchorage, Alaska. What should I plant in my garden? Okay, so ChatGPT gave me a lot of good, like, general advice about what I should be planting, what I can grow here in Alaska. Vegetables, leafy greens, root vegetables, brassicas, peas. Yes, those are all things that do well here in our cool climate with like long daylight hours. Herbs, flowers, perennials, that's nice. It gives some perennial options. Rhubarb and asparagus, both of which already came in my garden from when I moved in here. So a few weeks ago, I asked ChatGPT what I should plant specifically in one of my raised beds. I gave it the dimensions, so it's 3 foot by 6 foot, and told it that I lived in Anchorage, Alaska, and asked what I should plant in it. And the response was, given your 3 foot by 6 foot raised bed in Anchorage, Alaska, you can maximize your growing space by using a combination of compact and fast growing crops. Here's a suggested planting plan. And I thought this was super easy to follow, the plan that it did give me. It laid it out by sections. So basically, it is giving me instructions in 3 sections for this raised bed. The first section is leafy greens and herbs. So lettuce, butterhead, or romaine, plant 4 to 6 heads spaced 8 to 10 inches apart. Spinach, plant 10 to 12 plants spaced 6 inches apart. Kale, plant 2 to 3 plants spaced 2 to 18 inches apart. And herbs, chives, parsley, dill, interplant around the edges to make the most of that space. Section 2, root vegetables. Carrots, plant in rows spaced 2 to 3 inches apart with rows 6 inches apart. Radishes, plant between carrot rows. They mature quickly and can be harvested before the carrots need more space. Beets, plant 6 to 8 plants spaced 4 to 6 inches apart. And then section 3, peas and marigolds. So sugar snap peas, plant along the trellis in the back of this section. Plant 6 to 8 plants spaced 2 inches apart. Marigolds, plant in front of the peas to deter pests and add color. Space them 8 to 10 inches apart. Then it gave me some tips for each section. These are all plants that I've grown before, with the exception of marigolds actually. I've never really had the desire to plant them, and I have struggled with pests, so I think I maybe should have. Hopefully it does work in deterring pests. And I like how, I don't know, varied the things are. Maybe these aren't all the things that I would choose to plant in that raised bed, but that's also because I have some things planted out in other spaces. So I tried to plant things out as close as I could get to what ChatGPT was describing to me. I wanted to see how that raised bed is going to turn out. A raised bed basically like created or ideated by AI, by ChatGPT. The only thing is I had already planted something in that raised bed. Thankfully, it was part of one of these sections. I planted carrots and beets. I have that in my other video where I talk about the plants that I was growing for my dog. He loves carrots, so I was growing a bunch for him and also for us, obviously, something to eat, something to snack on. And beets are supposed to be super healthy for, you know, both dogs and humans, so I wanted to grow that. But yeah, thankfully I have a whole section number 2 from ChatGPT that is about root crops, about root vegetables. So I just added on to that. The only thing is I switched the order of it. So for the carrots and beets that I had sowed a few weeks ago, they already started to sprout. They were very small, but I just wanted to leave them as they were and just add on a few rows. So I added another row of carrots. I think I like split it between 2 varieties, one Nantes half long and the other, I forgot. And then because what then I was left with was a row of carrots, a row of beets, and another row of carrots, I went ahead and planted the radishes in between each of those rows. So now I'm left with carrots, radish, beets, radish, carrot. And it seems like a lot. It seems like they're planted closely together. I might have planted those rows of like carrots and beets even closer than what ChatGPT told me to. But again, like I'm gonna be harvesting those radishes like as soon as they're ready, and that's gonna be way before the carrots and beets. So hopefully everything will have space. I'll get to thinning some of them later on as well. For section number 2, I put a couple of kale plants in the back. Because these are gonna grow the largest, I decided to put, you know, everything that's gonna grow large on the back side of it. I think they'll get the most sun. I don't know. The way it's situated, the sun is kind of like gonna go at it from both ends, so it doesn't really matter. Like, anyway, I put a black magic kale and a winter boar kale. So all of these plants, these are both plants that I started from seed a while ago, and they've just been like sitting in a pot. And then I direct sowed a few rows of spinach, and then at the end another couple of rows of lettuce. I've had the hardest time germinating or like starting lettuce and spinach indoors. Actually, spinach I do start indoors, but it always like bolts extremely quickly, like almost right away it bolts for me because things are, you know, warm now, especially inside. It gets really hot. And I can never remember to water them as often enough as I have to. Anyway, I thought maybe direct seeding I would have more luck. And then after that, I interspersed the herbs. So I put a couple of dill plants in between the kale in the back. And then I spaced out some parsley on the other edge, on the front edge of the raised bed, so that they can spill over if, you know, the lettuce and the spinach germinates and takes up all that space. And then for section number 3, I started planting up some snap peas like in the back row where I had my kale plants before I realized that this section is only gonna be peas and marigolds, so there's gonna be a lot of extra space. So I'm gonna go ahead and like use the longer edge of the raised beds to plant my snap peas along so that I can just like have more and put another trellis on that side of it for the peas to grow on top of. I soaked the snap peas for a couple of hours before I planted them out, and hopefully that would give them a better chance of germinating or speed the process up. Like a week later, and the spinach and the lettuce didn't really germinate, and I just have this feeling that my lettuce seeds aren't super good. You know, I might have not been storing them properly. They might be old. Some of them are definitely a few years old. So I decided I would just go to a local nursery and pick up some plants just to get this raised bed going a little bit quicker. And here is what it looks like today. So today is the 21st, June 21st, and I started planting these up on June 2nd. Except for, you know, those first 2 rows of carrots and beets. I forgot when I had planted those up, but a couple of weeks earlier. And things are really starting to fill in now. Like, I'm really happy about the germination for the carrots, the beets, the radishes. Radishes grow super fast and they're so satisfying. Even though I'm not like a super big fan of how radish tastes and eating it, I'm probably gonna pickle them. That's all really exciting. Oh, the kale is also looking bigger, the kale and the dill. It is so nice to see also like how big the spinach, how big the lettuce is that I planted. The spinach, like after I bought them, I noticed that they were already kind of starting to bolt. I think they were. And so I don't have like high hopes. I put the spinach kind of on the side of like the marigolds because my spinach that I sowed, that I direct sowed, did start to germinate. So hopefully those take longer to bolt. I don't know if like direct seeding them in the space that they're gonna end up and not having to transplant them helps with the bolting or not, or helps with preventing bolting, but we'll see. I'll keep my fingers crossed. The parsley isn't looking the greatest. I don't know if it's just because like that edge of the raised bed gets like nailed by the sun for a certain amount during the day. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll just start trying to water it a little bit more and see if that helps them out. The marigolds, one of them is starting to bloom already, and the snap peas are coming up. They're starting to germinate. So ChatGPT for that like leafy greens and herbs section also mentioned chives as one of the herbs to be planting to intersperse along, but chives are perennial here in Alaska, at least they are, and I already have a bunch of them growing in the garden. They were here from when I moved in. They're not in the most convenient of places, but I leave them because they just like keep coming up. They're super hardy. So I didn't want to put chives in that raised bed, where I'll probably change up what I do with it next year. Okay, I totally forgot to wrap things up when I was filming that, but I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun. I hope somebody else out there thinks it's fun just to like ask ChatGPT what to do, I guess, and kind of follow along and see how it all turns out. I'm excited to start harvesting from that raised bed. I've been calling it my AI garden, so I'm excited to see what I get out of my AI garden. Maybe, I don't know, I'll ask ChatGPT also like what I should cook with it, what I should cook with the vegetables that I harvest. I don't know, we'll see. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Bye.